Good morning, students. In this session, I'm going to teach two more topics. This is the last topic of this chapter. One is increasing friction, second, decreasing friction or reducing friction, third, fluid friction. So these are the three topics I'm going to teach in this session. Then, what is meant by increasing friction? So, you know what is meant by friction? Friction means if there is a two objects, it is in contact with their surfaces are contact, there is an opposite force. There is an opposing force. It will try the object to stop the movement of the object. That is called frictional force or friction. So how can we increase this friction? That is a question. So in the previous session we studied there is a roughness. It increases of friction. Suppose there is a rough surface and a smooth surface, always a rough surface which increases the friction. Clear? So friction can be increased by increasing the roughness of the surfaces in contact. So two objects are in contact with each other. How can you increase the friction? You have to increase the roughness of the surfaces in contact. For that, a few examples they given. So first one, it is the soles of shoes are grooved to be a better grip on the floor. Okay, you'll be using the slippers and shoes. So sometimes, suppose it's a smooth surface, you think the friction will be less. Instead of that, the soles of the shoes are grooved. You think it will give better grip than the other one. Second thing is the tires of vehicles are treaded to increase the grip on the road. Even it gives more friction. Same like the brake pads of vehicles are rough to stop moving vehicles when the brakes are applied. So the brake pads of vehicle, it should be rough in nature. If it is a smooth means it will give less friction, the vehicle will not stop. So it is a rough in nature to stop moving vehicles when the brakes are applied. The last one is the gymnast applies some coarse substance on their hands for a better grip. Okay, so they will be applying some coarse substance in their grip. It means they are making their hand rougher. It makes it more rough and it gives more friction. Okay, so these are some methods we use to increase the friction. Look at here, you can see that. See, this is also the shows. You can see the grooves here. Even this wheel, look at this, it gives more friction. Even the gymnastic player, just now we told he is applying some substance in the hand to increase the friction. And also this brake. It is also, we told it's a rough in nature. Because of this roughness, it gives more friction. We can stop the vehicle. Second one is reducing friction. How can we reduce the friction? Sometimes we told the friction is it's good. We need friction, but at the same time we studied there are some disadvantages also. So how can we reduce friction? In some cases we have to reduce the friction. Friction can be reduced by using lubricants like powders, oils, and grease. We have to use the lubricants. Lubricants are the substances like oil, grease, or powder. It reduces the friction. So many examples they given will be we'll see one by one. So first one is using rollers or wheels. Okay, you can see that it's given here. Rollers are used in luggage bags to reduce friction. Suppose you think you are traveling somewhere, you have one big bag, okay, luggage bag. You think there is no rollers, no wheels. You have to carry that bag. It will be very difficult for you to carry it because of the, or you just drag it on the floor. Okay, it will be very tough for you to drag because the whole bag is touching the surface, that much friction it will experience. So friction is more and you will get more difficulty to move that bag. But at the same time you fix rollers or wheels, you can see that one thing you learned, the rolling friction is lesser than sliding friction. Even the sliding friction is lesser than static friction. Okay, here only two wheels you are fixing, you think only the wheel touching the surface. So obviously the friction will reduce. And also it's a rolling friction, it is very less than sliding friction also. So what we can easily, you can pull that back. Clear? So using rollers and wheels or using ball bearings. Okay, that's examples coming here. Ball bearings. Ball bearings are used in ceiling fans, bicycles, and vehicles to reduce friction. Okay, so instead of rolling friction, it gives a less friction than sliding friction. So the ball bearing, that balls, it's rolling, so it gives less friction. Clear? So we sprinkle powder on a carom board to reduce friction. Usually when you play the carom, what you will do, you will put the carom powder. So why it is that carom, when you play the coins, when you hit, it has to go fast If there is a, suppose there is no powder, means what will happen? The friction will be more, it will be very difficult to move. So when you apply or when you sprinkle some powder, it's very smooth, it will become so, smooth surface, and easily the friction will reduce and you can easily play. Clear? So we sprinkle powder on the carom board to reduce friction. Same like oil or grease in applied between moving parts of machines to reduce friction. The machineries, the machineries, what is happening? They are working. Many parts of the machineries, they are rubbing each other. When it rub each other, what is happening? One thing we told, we need friction for the movement, otherwise it may slide and go, slip and go. So we need friction. But at the same time, if we keep on rubbing each other, it will wear out. It will wear and tear out. One disadvantage. To reduce that friction, what we can do, we can apply oil or grease. Okay, oil or grease is applied between moving parts of machines to reduce friction. At the same time, you can see when you rub each other, what energy it produces? It produces heat energy. So it is also a waste of energy. Clear? So in the machineries, what is happening? Because of this friction, one thing we told, it will wear out, and also it produces heat energy, and it is also waste of energy. So to reduce this friction, what we can apply? Oil or grease is applied between moving parts of machines to reduce friction. Even rollers are used in luggage bags to reduce friction. Just now I told. Wheels are used in vehicle to reduce friction. Okay, wheels are rolling it. So when it rolls, why it gives less friction? Because the interlocking, it will be less. What we told, what is the reason for the friction? We told that there are two surface, it is interlock. Okay, it is there is an interlocking of irregularities. So suppose it's a static friction, you think it's just touching the surface, there is a more interlocking of irregularities, there is a more friction. But in the case of rolling friction, it is not getting much time to interlock. Okay, so that is the reason the rolling friction, it is less than the sliding friction. Okay, so interlocking of irregularities, that is less. That is the reason rolling friction is less than the sliding friction. So rollers are used in, wheels are used in vehicles to reduce friction. Ball bearings are used in ceiling fans. Same like bicycles, vehicles to reduce friction. You can see all this. The carom board is sprinkle powder, so that carom, it moves very fast. Even the wheels, you can see. Even the wheels, you can see here. The wheels, this also rolling friction, and it gives less friction. Clear? So it's a rolling friction, it's less than sliding friction, and also only this much part is touching the ground. So only that much friction will give. The entire body of the car, it's not touching the surface. So only this is touching. Here you see same, like here you see the rollers. These rollers, it also gives less friction. Suppose the whole entire surface of the bag touching the friction, what is happening? Friction will be more. Instead of that, there is only 4 wheels or 2, 3 wheels. It's 4 wheels, you think it's touching the surface, so friction will be very less, and also this is rolling friction. So it is lesser than the sliding or static friction. Same like here you can see the ball bearing. This ball bearing, it is also rolling, so it gives less friction. The next one is fluid friction. What is meant by fluid? Fluid usually we will tell the gas and liquids, they are known as fluid friction. They also give friction. If any object is moving in water or it's moving in air, it gives friction. There is opposite force or opposing force, that is known as fluid friction. It's also called a drag friction. Clear? So solid object, we told while playing ball, it gives friction, that we can tell dry friction, but here we can tell fluid friction, because the water, usually the water and air is known as fluids. Why it's called fluids? They can flow from one place to another. Okay, always they're moving from higher level to lower level. You just pour little water on a table or higher place, it's moving to the lower place, not from the lower place to higher place. They are known as fluids. Clear? The fluid friction is a force of friction exerted by liquids and gases on objects moving through them. So it's also known as drag friction, I told. It is the force of friction exerted by liquids and gases on objects moving through them. Okay. So fluid friction depends on 3 main points. One is the speed of the object. Second, the shape of the object. Third is the nature of the fluid. So first we can see this nature of the fluid. You think, you take air and water, you can mark A and B, 2 points you can mark. There are two objects, they are moving starting from the A point and they are moving to the B point. You can see that in the air it will reach fast, but in the water it will go a little slow. It means that the thickness of the water. Okay, if you are comparing air and water, Water it is little more thicker than the air. So that there is more thickness, there is more friction. Clear? The more we will tell there is a resistance, air resistance or water resistance, that we also will call viscosity. It is called viscosity. So there is more viscosity. So water has more viscosity than air, or water is more viscous than air. Clear? So that water it has more friction than air friction. Another example I'll tell you. You take two fluid things. One water, one is honey. You take which is more thick. Obviously, the honey is more thicker than water. You are taking two objects, same object you take, you are pushing in this water as well as in the honey. You can see that in the honey it will be little difficult to move because there is a thickness is more for honey, the so friction will be more. More thickness, more friction, less thickness, less friction. Clear? So that is the nature of the fluid. Second thing, it is the shape of the object. Shape of the object, if I am telling, I can tell many after this it's coming. The birds, fishes, aeroplane, all these, it has a streamlined shape. So you can, the birds can fly in the air. You see the shape of the bird, that is called a streamlined shape. The same, almost even the aeroplane also, it looks like bird because they can cut through the air because there is an opposing force, opposing resistance or opposite force, that is called frictional force. They have to cut through this force, air and resistance, and they have to move forward. To make it easier, the body, they're making this streamlined shape, okay, for bird or aeroplane. You come to the water, with see, what is the shape of the fish? It is a streamlined shape. If you are seeing any ship or boat or something, they're making like the shape of the fish, or it is a streamlined shape. It means it is for reducing the friction. Clear? Fluid friction. That is the shape of the object. Even one more example I can tell. There are two vehicles on the road. You think there is a one car and bus. The car almost is like a streamlined shape, like, so it can go little fast. If it can reduce the friction, comparing that, you see, think there is one bus. It's like a square shape or a rectangle shape. Compared to car, that shape gives more friction. Clear? It gives more friction than the car. Understood? So that is the shape of the object. The next is speed of the object. Even there is a more speed. You think there is one car going on a road. There is a one car. One time it will go 100 miles per hour. Another second time it goes 50 miles per hour. So the first time it gives traveling, it moves 100 miles in 1 hour. It gives more friction. It has to cut through the air and going very fast, so the friction will be more. The second case, the friction will be less. So the fluid friction depends upon the speed of the object, the shape of the object, and the nature of the fluid. Clear? So for that examples, they given birds flying in air have streamlined body to reduce fluid friction. I told just now. Same like fishes living in water have streamlined body. So suppose the fish shape, you think it's a square like or rectangle like, friction will be more. Okay. So fishes living in water have excuse me, streamlined body to reduce friction. Same like aeroplanes and spacecrafts have streamlined body to reduce fluid friction. So these are the examples for fluid friction. Yeah, the same pictures you can see here. Bird, it is flying in the air. There it gives a friction. It's called fluid drag friction or fluid friction. To reduce the friction, the body is like streamlined shape. Here you can see aeroplane or rocket or spacecraft. It's a streamlined shape. The fish, it's a streamlined shape. Or any boat or ship, almost you can see that it will be here streamlined shape. So this all helps to reduce the friction. Clear? Thank you, students.